But first, off the top, Donald Trump is facing court battles in multiple states: Florida, Georgia, and New York. So let's begin tonight with Florida, where the FBI searched the former president's home nearly 2 weeks ago. Thursday, federal magistrate judge Bruce Reinhart said he's inclined to unseal at least some of the affidavit for the search warrant. The affidavit is a sworn document used to justify the search. In this case, it convinced Judge Reinhart there was probable cause to believe a crime had been committed and that there was evidence of that crime at Mar-a-Lago. News organizations and some Republicans have called for the affidavit to come out, to be released, but DOJ argues that would be a big problem. If the document comes out, it would be a roadmap to their ongoing criminal investigation. And DOJ argued that the affidavit has detailed information about witnesses and investigative techniques, and that releasing the document could actually chill future witness participation.
The extraordinary step of executing a search warrant at the home of the former president, people should be aware how many different gauntlets have to be run for that to happen. It's not just that an agent has to swear an affidavit, put it before a prosecutor who has to approve the request, that it has to go before a federal judge that authorizes that warrant. If this goes forward to an indictment, that the propriety of that warrant would be challenged in a federal court and would have to withstand judicial scrutiny that potentially could go all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. It is only with that knowledge that a judge signed this, that a prosecutor authorized this, that the attorney general signed off on it. For that to happen, there must be an awful lot that is already, in the knowledge of the investigators and prosecutors for that extraordinary step to be taken.
Now, Reinhart ordered the DOJ to give him proposed redactions for the affidavit filed under seal by Thursday. Meantime, Trump supporters continue to threaten law enforcement. Adam Bies, a 46-year-old man from Pennsylvania, was charged with threatening law enforcement officers this week. Prosecutors say that Bies posted his threats on the conservative social media site Gab using the pseudonym Adam Kenneth Campbell, saying, quote, "My only goal is to kill more of them before I drop," and quote, "If you work for the FBI, then you deserve to die." Now, some Republicans have criticized the FBI after the search on Trump's residence, including calls to defund the agency. Now, former Vice President Mike Pence spoke this week, and he told the GOP to knock it off.
We can hold the Attorney General accountable for the decision that he made without attacking rank and file law enforcement personnel at the FBI. These attacks on the FBI must stop. Calls to defund the FBI are just as wrong as calls to defund the police.
Armed Trump supporters have shown up outside FBI field offices, including in Phoenix and, of course, Cincinnati, where Ricky Schiffer was killed after police said he showed up with an AR-15 style rifle and tried to break in. That was according to authorities there. Now, the FBI and Department of Homeland Security have issued a warning about these increased security threats to federal law enforcement. That warning included a threat to place a so-called dirty bomb outside the FBI headquarters here in D.C. Now, the former chief financial officer for the Trump Organization, Alan Weisselberg, pleaded guilty to tax evasion in New York last week. He admitted to conspiring with the Trump Organization to commit tax fraud, pleading guilty to over a dozen criminal charges. And as part of the deal, he agreed to testify at the upcoming trial against the Trump Organization. If he does so truthfully, he'll likely get a 5-month sentence, which is much shorter than the 15 years he was facing. Now to Georgia, where state officials are investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani appeared before the grand jury this week for 6 hours. He was also informed he's actually a target of the investigation. Giuliani's lawyers didn't reveal any details about that 6-hour testimony, but said Mayor Giuliani had completed his obligations. Also called to testify in the Georgia probe is South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Monday, a federal judge in Atlanta ruled that Graham had to testify before the grand jury, likely about his conversations with Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and Raffensperger's staff in the weeks after the 2020 election. But by Thursday, Graham officially appealed the judge's order to the Atlanta-based federal appeals court. He's currently scheduled to testify August 23rd, but he asked the court to put that on hold while he appeals in the courts. Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp has also been subpoenaed to testify before the grand jury. Like Graham, Kemp is fighting it. His lawyers filed a 121-page motion to quash the subpoena. In it, he accused the Fulton County District Attorney's Office of playing with politics with the investigation. But District Attorney Fani Willis, who is a Democrat, wasn't having it. She said, quote, "This is not a politically motivated investigation. You repeatedly referring to it as a politically motivated investigation does not make it so. In fact, you repeating it so many times only proves that you have become very comfortable being dishonest." It's a storm brewing there in Georgia. And with all these court battles playing out, by the way, we haven't even mentioned the ongoing investigation into January 6th. Last week, the New York Times reported that the DOJ has issued a broad subpoena to the National Archives. The Times says that they're asking for, quote, "all materials in whatever form that the archives handed over to the House Select Committee investigating January 6th.